All right. Welcome to the fifth episode of Kadai Benchu Shots. In this episode, we'll be talking about the custodial murder of Jeyaraj and Fenix, along with police brutality. Adi's here. Adi.
Hi guys. So to just start this off, right? I think we'll talk a bit about the geography and the history of the incident. So the incident, uh, the police brutality incident in Thoothukudi, right? It arose because of the COVID-19 lockdown restrictions and Jeyaraj and Fenix, who is Jeyaraj's son, who were running their mobile shop roughly 15 minutes after lockdown restrictions uh, started. And police who were surveilling the area found them and had asked Jeyaraj to come to the police station. Jeyaraj, who is nearly 60 years old, they had arrested him and taken him to the police station. And this is the first incident of uh, difference in statements. So, according to Phoenix and many onlookers, there was no commotion, there was no agitation from either party. But according to the police statement, there was a lot of agitation, there was a lot of violence. Jeyaraj resisted the arrest and he fought back and started using slurs against the police, where he was violently apprehended and taken to the police station as his son came to the police station behind him. We will be talking about this more in depth later on in the podcast, but I'll just tell you like both sides so far. So after that, inside the police station, Jeyaraj was brutally assaulted. An FIR was filed against the two, and they were brutally assaulted. And this is where there's a little bit more lapse in statement, where the police said that it started out in self-defense, while Jeyaraj and Phoenix said they were just assaulted as soon as they were taken in. The rest, I don't exactly know how to put this in words. So there's a lot of inquiry which has proven that which has been regarded as they were sexually assaulted. But according to me, right, this is my opinion here, I don't think this is a sexual assault, or we shouldn't deem it as a sexual assault, because there's nothing sexual in nature here. It was just a violent assault. It is, I think we are naming it poorly. I don't think there's anything sexual in nature done here. So they were beaten for a few hours until their family was informed, and their family wasn't allowed to see them, but they had asked for a change of clothes. They changed 6 lungis due to lungi is basically like a
A piece
cloth,
of cloth
like
covering your bottom.
yeah.
Like the bottom of your
And
body gets covered using the, yeah.
due to the profuse bleeding from their rectum, which was caused by the insertion of lattis, which is a long wooden stick. And they had to change 6 lungis because of the bleeding. After that, the police had taken them to Kovilpatti hospital to get their medical and fitness done, and then they were taken to the Shantakulam magistrate. His name was D. Saravanan, who passed the police remand orders of the injured duo without examining their physical condition. So basically, the magistrate who was supposed to examine them if they've been assaulted or any violence was anything violent had happened, did not even give them a physical examination, and he cited COVID and social distancing as to why he did not check
Yeah.
them.
This is the next day, the day after the arrest.
Yeah, this was the day after their arrest. And on June 22nd, while Phoenix was undergoing treatment at the government hospital of Kolpati, he died at 21 hours, 2100 hours due to heavy internal bleeding. And on the same day, his father, Jeyaraj, was admitted at the government hospital of Kolpatti by the authorities of the sub-jail, Kolpatti. And while undergoing treatment on the next day, 23rd June, he died at 5:40 due to a punctured lung. Later, what happened was, uh, so after all this, let's come to the court and the legality of the matter. So the Madras High Court took suo motu cognizance of the matter, which technically means they just took the case upon them. They started the case upon themselves, and on this happened on June 24th. A bench consisting of Justices P and Prakash and B Pugalandi ordered the superintendents of Thoothukudi police to inquire into the incident and support a status report and submit a status report. So they were going to ask for the videograph and the autopsy. So this is where things start getting a bit out of hand, right? So when they went to the
if it's not
police
out of hand
station,
already.
yeah, which is it's not out of hand already. So they went to the police station to collect the evidence, and they realized that the police have had this culture of deleting the footage every night. So at any point of time, they don't have the footage of that day. And not only that, the police started threatening the people who had come to collect the evidence, the magistrate. Following the complaint, the Madurai bench of Madras High Court took suo motu of the contempt of court and ordered Inspector General of Police South Zone to take action against the officers. So, okay, so basically, they were unwilling to comply with the court's case because of their fear of getting caught, and they basically threatened the court. So that did not really go well for them. And this is the first time in the history of Indian police a station had been taken into control by the district administration. This has never happened before. This is, in many ways, more than one, this is a historic case. And I think this is where we start talking. Okay, so basically, the ending of the case is they were arrested. The 5 officers were arrested, and one of the police officers from inside turned herself in and became an eyewitness. So she uh, accused the five police officers of doing inhumane torture practices, and basically the trial is still ongoing. So that's where we are today. I think this is where we come to like opinions and public matters. So Pui, where do you stand on this?
It is quite a lot to take in. I think this first came up to me. I'd say on it came up to me on like 20. It came up on so like 23rd Jeyaraj passed away. Morning he passed away, and I saw the Put Chutney guys video on 23rd evening after it shared on my friend's on a friend of mine's story. It was really quite a lot. Sadamgulam is a place I've been to when I was a child, and to know that something as inhumane just happened there is quite horrific, and it really took me back. It took me a while. I sat down with it, I processed it, and then I took to social media. Hey, this is horrible, and so that's that. And I think and then but I think something really funny happened. This was slowly just about. This was I can't believe you're saying this. Just about the end of BLM in India. That's kind of like the end of the trend, because it's a terrible way to use words like that. But so everybody was constantly talking about Black Lives Matter and the George Floyd incident, and no one spoke up about it. And I was like, so yeah. By the time the news actually got to the public on the 23rd evening, 24th, it took a while, right? But then it became the 25th, the 26th. No one spoke about it, and it was really annoying. It was really disappointing because I sort of I already had an opinion about the George Floyd incident, which is absolutely horrible. But the outrage in our circle, it felt very mm, very forced. It felt people felt like they had to be outraged, and they did it almost because it was trendy, and it was almost disgraceful to see that, especially in such a horrible context. And the fact that there was no outrage for this, a very similar incident happening just 600 kilometers away from them, not thousands of kilometers away from them, was really disgusting, and it really got to me. Uh, then I again took social media, and I was calling everyone out. I was like, "You American simps, what are you doing? Are you waiting on a green card or what?" I'm not saying that changed everything, but then I saw a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. A lot of people who were surprising. A lot of people do that, and they were surprisingly quiet during the whole George Floyd incident. I know these are all decent people, and and the fact that I could see a similar pattern in a weird way restored faith in humanity for me, because uh, I had a couple of people still only spoke up when they were actually outraged and didn't speak up for the sake of speaking up, and that was really nice to see. And then celebrities started talking about it. Obviously, it became trendy, and everybody spoke about it. So that was how I saw this unfold. It was a so there was something that was really horrible that happened. I had to process that, and the way people were reacting wasn't very fine as well. Processing that was also pretty hard. Uh, so that's how I saw this whole thing happen. But then a lot of other conversations started from this about police brutality in movies, and so on. And that was and we'll talk about those in this episode as well. But one thing I really took away from this is uh, people's outrage, right? People don't be and initially I was really angry that people didn't get outraged about this incident, but then I sat down, thought about it, and I understood people only get outraged about things if they have a personal interest in them. Um, the reason people were so outraged about the George Floyd murder is because we, like culturally speaking, especially in our circle, we have a cultural investment in America. We look forward to the next Netflix series. We know what movies are trending there. Hell, we know their politics better than ours, right? Uh, so I don't blame people that felt more culturally relevant than what happened 600 kilometers away. And the fact that after celebrities started talking about it, after it became quote unquote mainstream news, people started talking about this. I also don't blame them for that. I made my peace with it, and in one way, if I can see a silver lining in all of this, I can see people in a weird way are honest to themselves, in which they only talk about things that matter to them, and the reasons things may matter to them, that might be questionable. But I'm at least happy they talk about things that only matter to them, and they don't just sort of mouth out whatever other people are saying as per my initial assumptions. Adi, what about you? What were some of your takeaways of how this unfolded?
Yeah, so basically, it really opened my eyes to myself, right? Like things I care about and things I don't care about. For example, I don't completely agree with you with the thing that all people only get outraged by things that affect them. I think some people are still outraged because they need to be outraged, or it's trendy to be outraged, or they're woke to be outraged. But I think real outrage comes when you feel like this is going to impact you. There's a certain level where, so basically, right, about 1,700 people have been assaulted, have been killed by the police, or had violent assault by the police in 2019. That's averaging about 5 per day. Um, but there was no outrage. The outrage in this, I think, mainly is because this happened around the same time as George Floyd, and it was a wake up call. Like, we question so much about other countries. This is our time to question something in our own country. This is like people who were not commenting about George Floyd finally found their voice saying, "See, this is what I'm talking about. You guys spoke about George Floyd, but you guys are not talking about Jeyaraj and Fenix. See, this is what we mean. This is why you need to talk about Jeyaraj and Fenix. Look at your own country." I think this was like a good wake up call for people like that. And also, right now, there have been so many cases that like completely inhumane cases, but like nobody cares. I think a good example is recently a very young 13-year-old girl has been raped. I've seen a few articles about it, like 5 or 6 people shared it on their stories, but like there's no like real outrage. Nobody is like, we need justice, we need to protest, we need to show this to our representatives, we need to do this, we need to do that. There isn't anything, because honestly it does not affect us. This 13-year-old girl was just another 13-year-old girl in some random village that we probably will never go to, probably will never hear from again. Nobody we know is from that village. It just does not affect us. It matters to us as much as some random city in Africa and some random girl was raped there. The rape is wrong, but in our own selfish consciousness, it doesn't really matter to us. It's so far away from us. I can't see how this will
Doesn't
impact
feel
me.
like a threat. It doesn't feel like a threat. You know what I mean?
It doesn't feel like
We
a threat. When
we
Nirbhaya got raped, that is a threat, because that is a city. I live in a city. If that can happen to her, it can happen to me, it can happen to some girl I care about, my mother, my sister. It needs to affect me somehow for me to care about it, right? And you can argue with me saying, no, you're like that, I'm not like that. Well,
and
then where's the outrage? If I'm a
there,
minority, then where is the
there have
outrage? Where
been
is
we made a
people?
sorry, go on. Yeah, my bad.
No, where are the people who are proving me wrong?
Yeah,
There
and
seems to
no,
be a definite lack.
100%. And like even like forget you think Jaira, if this was a unifying outrage, like if something about police brutality is universally something people get outraged about. I think we made a post 2 days ago that talked about lockdown murders. One of them happened after the murder of Jeyaraj and Phoenix.
Oh yeah, there are two lockdown
Two lockdowns for that.
cases after. Yeah,
Yeah,
cases
and
after Jeyaraj Fenix.
one of them near Thuthukudi as well.
Yeah, Ettayapuram, right? And yeah,
Yeah,
like nobody spoke about it.
no,
Um, it there's something there, something like we can't really point our fingers at it, saying exactly this is it or exactly that is it. But the thing is, okay. So this brings us to the next case, right? We don't feel, we don't exactly feel that uh, the justice system is good, and because of that, we have given the police some leeway with certain things. The Hyderabad rapists are a great example of it. Uh, so there was this rape case where I think a group of 4 men raped this girl who was on a scooter and burnt her body and threw it near a bridge or something like that. And the police found the 4 people and they had an encounter. They killed them. And India, majority, I'm not saying that like everybody, but like majority of India was cheering the police on, saying, "This is brilliant. Uh, look at how well the Indian police is working.
and for
So
some
many
context,
uh,
it's not that they were ordered to be encountered. So the context was they were being escorted somewhere, and these rapists attempted to escape apparently, and in that time they had to shoot them, and and apparently they had to attempt to escape near the exact place uh, where the body was burnt. So this whole thing felt like an excellent revenge story from the outside.
Poetic
Uh,
justice.
Poetic justice. My bad. Yeah, poetic justice.
Yeah.
Bad choice. But yeah, from
But like we're
celebrities to
all
even
cheering Ben on.
politicians. From politicians.
Yeah, exactly. Politicians were cheering it on. And what gives them the authority? We never question their authority then. How do we have the right to question the authority of police killing uh, two men who were staying outside the lockdown time? Like, you can say there's a huge difference in the magnitude of the crime, but who are the police to dish out the sentence? Those rapists, we call them rapists, but they aren't rapists. They never went through a trial. They never had evidence presented against them. They were never even given the chance to justify. They were never even given the chance to say they didn't do it or did do it. They literally the the judge and the executioner was as was one at that moment. And when we praise that on, it's just going to make more Jeyaraj and Fenix in the world. It's us who started this, and I think this beautifully brings us to the next, pushing blame.
Oh
I
my
think
God. This
yeah,
is where. So I spoke about how I felt the outrage was forced and so on, right? And then I saw this one tweet. It said, uh, everyone was complaining about. We all cheered when he said, "Na police illa porki." And I'm not saying Tamil cinema doesn't
context,
glorify.
context,
Yeah,
context.
okay. I shouldn't get carried away.
Uh,
Adi, handle this with
so
composure.
so basically, the composure. What we're trying to say is there have been a lot of Tamil movies glorifying violence through police. Um, how do we put this? So a lot of Tamil movies have this trope where the policeman is incredibly violent and like trying to serve justice to a certain individual, and like immense violence. And a few instances pointed out are the movie Sami by Vikram, The Police in the Porki, or Singam Surya, where Ongi Archa Undat and Vetra. This has
Terry,
been quoted. Terry, I'm sorry, I haven't watched Terry, so I can't really
good for
comment
you.
about it.
Good for you. Good for you.
Okay, so anyways, so this has been quoted repeatedly over and over and over and over again, and I starting to think these people haven't really watched the movie. Like, honestly, these people I don't think have watched the movie or have forgotten the movies, or they're just trying to push blame because they're trying to seem like they're ahead of the curve. Like, this is something that they feel the world will catch up to, and today they're just a few centimeters ahead of us.
No, I actually think they're not even pushing blame. I actually think that they're actually pushing blame. Like you said previously, right? We started this. We cheered when police encountered those four rapists, but we couldn't accept that. We instead we are like, oh no, something else made us cheer. Something else made us think that this was good when police go outside the law and do these kind of crazy stuff. And it's very weird, right? And again, I don't want to fall into that trap that, oh, you quoted this movie, so I'm going to use this movie again. I'm going to say why this. I'm going to talk about the general trope of these movies, right? There are definitely movies that show police abusing their power and definitely harming people, being the judge and like executioner in an extremely wrong context. Superstars Darbar, right?
100%. I completely agree.
Yeah,
That's a terrible, terrible movie with some terrible uses of justice. That is not
exactly.
justice.
So, and in fact, in that movie, he's called a psycho cop. In the movie, he's called a psycho
Yeah,
cop, and surprisingly, and in a weird way, a lot of people called him out. Flip Flip made an excellent video, uh, calling him an absolute psychopathic
madman.
monster. That
Yeah,
exactly. So, people people can notice these things, and usually in these movies, right? Sami, Singam, Terry, the policeman is actually shown powerless. He actually wants to go by the law. In fact, he will be very naive. He'll be like, "Na lanjo vaanga maten. I will put to an FIR. I can't tear the FIR. FIR pota FIR potadudha." And then the villain will come. He'll tear it and he'll just go. And then he'll realize, "Oh no, I'm very powerful." Interval block. Second interval kapro edirpaakla. He'll come and then only he will go against. He'll bend the laws and he'll do everything. And in the process, in a movie like Singam, Anushka gets shot, his love interest gets shot, his right hand man Ravi gets killed. So it's not like they again, right? I'm not saying that. I'm not say, what I'm saying is it's a very again, it's a very, I think it's a very silly thing that we're hanging on to this. But I think this reaction was so common, it was silly. Right?
Yeah.
If it was a one-off thing, I'd be like, okay, two people are saying something stupid. But the conversation almost shifted for a second.
Yeah, that's the bad part. And like, you guys are taking, okay, these are very, very stupid, like not stupid, like these are very simple movies, but you guys are like people are simplifying it too much. There are slightly bit more complex things. He was just not going around beating people. Those people, he had some level of motivation. If you want to talk about movies, you need to talk about movies like Darbar and uh, Usti. Those movies, yeah, we can completely understand there's like unnecessary level of violence in those movies, glorification of violence in those movies.
No, but
But
even
I
then,
don't
right?
think
What I'm saying is shifting the
no,
conversation.
like
Really, like
no,
really, you want to
shifting the
make
conversation
this
is wrong.
exactly.
Like I can't blame these movies for Jeyaraj and Fenix. It makes no sense. Uh, the people who say movie is just movie, art is just art, are the same people who are saying no, these are not just movies. These are making people do all these things. Then why aren't movies like Visarane or Tani Oruvan or Enne Arindal changing the police perspective? Those are movies where police follow the law. I think movies where police follow the law and police are shown as like good people or the moral good people actually are revered by the film world. We have more movies like that than movies like Darbar. And Darbar is shunned by us, right? It's shunned by the cinema
It clearly
world.
didn't do well. For like
Yeah,
even talk about box office numbers. Talk about it. Is it a good movie, bad movie for seven? No, people just didn't like that kind. Yeah, you can whatever the reason, right? It didn't do well. Osti didn't do well.
yeah. And talk about how Tamil cinema is actually doing a good job in portraying police. We have the courage to show Visarane, where there's already a movie about police brutality, which India wanted to send to the India sent to the Oscars. Then we have a movie which is revered as one of the best commercial movies. We have Vikram Veda, where no matter what, Madhavan was trying to stay within the laws, even if the laws were used against him. Then we have Tani Oruvan, a completely moral cop who no matter what injustice, unlawful injustice happens, he wants to stay on the lawful good. Why can't we take movies like this as a norm, even though they are? Why do we turn a blind eye towards movies like this?
Yeah, I don't want to shift the conversation. I don't want this to be the majority of the conversation. But yeah, it's that and yeah. So that's just that the way that came out was definitely annoying and yeah. So that's that.
This has become the blackout
The fact that we
Tuesday.
have to
The
end the
blackout Tuesday.
conversation.
No, this
No,
has
like
become the
yeah,
blackout
exactly.
Tuesday of the police brutality.
Like yeah, no, exactly. The fact that we have to end this conversation, a serious conversation about police brutality, violation of human rights, right? To and as far as most people say, they're very amicable people to society, right? In a place like Thoothukudi, which has had its which has had this incidents with related to caste, they see a lot of people say they're very inclusive people, uh, but they were just they were hurt. Again, we don't know these people personally, and these are all just statements by people after after the incident. But regardless of all of this, no one is supposed to go through this, right? There's a reason. At the end of the day, you can even be the worst person on the planet, but you're still a human. Hence, you have human rights, and it's really terrible what's going on. And so that's that. Uh, and instead of talking about what movies should we watch, we should really shift the conversation. Like Tamil Nadu is actually topped the southern states in terms of custodial death in 2018. And like instead of just using the hashtag justice for Jeyaraj and Phoenix, we can really educate ourselves on certain things that we could do and certain things we could demand uh, to improve in Tamil Nadu. to better the state of not better the state of police, but better the situation with regards to police brutality in the state. We've posted about this in our Needy post on Instagram. Please go check that out if you have the time. Radhi, let's just read it out to the listeners.
Yeah, so basically, before I start reading on, I just want to say this is a terrible thing, right? This is a completely unacceptable thing. But hopefully, with this learning experience, probably we can create a better world so that nobody else has to go through something like this. Like even with this corona situation, the COVID-19, maybe this would help us, like a vaccination, like this whole situation as a vaccination to make sure such deadly diseases will never come up or never come up to this magnitude with the knowledge we have today.
Everything
So
is definitely a learning experience.
Yeah, everything is a learning experience. So let's not just give justice to Jeyaraj and Fenix. Let's give justice to every single person who lives in Tamil Nadu in the future or in India in the future. Maybe the world can learn from this experience. So the few things we want to point out is harsher penalties for the police. So this means, let's say I assault someone and I have a penalty, a police would face a harsher penalty for the same crime. So they're supposed to be the moral superiority. So I think this would work to portray that. Second is quarterly mental and physical evaluation of the police. Many countries already follow this. Like Singapore already has this. They have a, I think 4 months or 3 month test for their physical fitness and mental fitness, so that you can keep things at bay. Let's say a policeman is feeling depressed or suicidal, they will not put others' lives on the line or in danger if you can cut it off at the nib and you can give them help. You can give them a psych evaluation, or you can give them a physical evaluation, right? Next is UN to join the India to join the United Nations Convention Against Torture. So in India, it is legal to torture inmates and criminals, even though the world has said it makes no difference in the evidence or the investigation. Like if you torture someone, that doesn't mean they will tell the truth. It just means they will tell you something to stop the torture from taking place. Next, every state should set up a police complaints authority. This is something we really, really, really need to push for. A lot of the injustices which are happening in the police system, the only person we can complain to is the same police system, which is unfathomable, right? Like,
yeah,
as
mentioned in previous Kadai Benchu Shorts episodes, if the president of the Royal Society of London is Newton, he will obviously take credit for inventing calculus.
Exactly. There is no difference. History repeats itself, right? This is a good example of that. I am not like, if I fear the police, I need someone to tell that to. I need to tell someone that I fear the police. We still don't have that authority yet. Then next year, no second chance approach towards police brutality. A lot of these police who have cases registered to them are normally transferred to another police station or transferred to another armed force. This is not acceptable. Just because they've moved somewhere doesn't mean they will change. We need we can't give them a second chance. It's just not worth it. The risk they pose to society is far greater than, at this point, without rehabilitation, is far greater than the good that they can bring to the next place they're in. Sixth is a CCTV camera should be installed in every police station. I've been told a lot of police stations would, majority of police stations in Tamil Nadu already have this implemented. But the problem is they get to delete and edit the footage. I think the police complaints authority should be in charge of the footage, and only they should be given regulation to ever touch the footage.
It should be centrally managed.
Yeah, it should be centrally managed. Last thing that we can think of is training on sensitization towards police brutality and its impacts. See, even if you tell me that the movies that we made are glorifying all this, I think it is possible to sensitize the police. And I don't think censoring the movie is a good way, because artists are just going to art. They're just going to keep creating. I think the public should have a protection against what they're seeing.
And nothing ever comes like I heard this very recently. I think it's in the Kenny Sebastian podcast, but he can say a lot of bad things can come out of free speech, but nothing ever good comes out of preventing it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Nothing good comes out of preventing free speech. That is actually very true. So yeah, that is the fix, guys. Please go and read the entire thing that we've written about the police brutality in India. It's titled Needy, which is justice, and you can find it on our Instagram page, Kadai Benchu. So for the fix article, we actually did a lot of research, and some of the best points were given by this law student Sonali Jain on Instagram. She made a video about it, and we were heavily inspired by that video to make this post. And not all the points are from her, but a good majority are, and she has done some good research, and credits to her for that.
Yeah, so I think that was the heavy talk that we wanted to get out, and this has been in the works for a while. Adi and I wanted to definitely do an episode as soon as we heard about the justice, and especially when the news was, people weren't talking about this. At least I personally was pushing for it. I was like, we're going to make an episode about this. Make sure we tell people what's happening, and I'm glad we could give you a holistic pictures and also talk to give us our opinions. And guys, these are our opinions, and you have yours. And please share them with us. If the best thing we can do here is get a discussion going on, whatever you agree, disagree with us, hit us up on Instagram. We'd love to be a part of the conversation, and we always encourage that. And if the least bit we can do is start a conversation about this, I think the podcast has definitely done something good. On that note, I think we'd like to wrap this up. It's been a pretty long episode. Sorry for that. But as usual, thank you so much for listening. Nandri.
Vanakkam.
Ladies and gentlemen, honestly, why we are going to America? Because America is our country.